Hey, it's Anita, and this is the Anita Posch Show. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the first episode of 2021. I wish you all a happy new year. What's new here? My show is now called the Anita Posch Show because I think my previous name, Bitcoin & Co., was a little bit misleading because I'm focusing on Bitcoin only. And also with my name in the title, now everybody can see immediately that a woman is hosting this podcast, which is actually quite rare in the Bitcoin space. As always, you can watch the interview as a video on YouTube, or you can listen to it on your favorite podcast player. You can find all the links at anita.link/subscribe. You can also subscribe to Anita's Weekly, my newsletter that is covering the most interesting story of the current week in Bitcoin. Today's guests are Desiree Dickerson and Ryan Gentry from Lightning Labs. Lightning Labs was founded in 2016, and one of the first investors was the CEO of Twitter, Jack Dorsey. Elizabeth Stark is the CEO of Lightning Labs, and her CTO and co-founder is Olaoluwa Osuntokun. And he is writing, co-authoring together with Andreas M. Antonopoulos and Renee Pickard, a book that's called Mastering the Lightning Network, which will be out this year. The Lightning Network is a so-called second layer protocol on top of the Bitcoin blockchain. And what it does, it enables micro payments and very fast payments in Bitcoin. And we are going to talk about the most important developments in the Lightning Network space, new businesses, new business models like podcasting, for instance, income streams for content creators, gaming, and much more. And before, a short word from my sponsors, and then enjoy. Local Bitcoins is one of the most trusted and the largest peer-to-peer Bitcoin trading platforms in the world. Local Bitcoins allows you to trade directly with people like you, and you can choose any currency you prefer and find a safe payment method to complete your trade. Go to www.localbitcoins.com to buy and sell Bitcoin. I definitely recommend using a hardware wallet to store your Bitcoin. But if you have difficulties with the technical requirements and maintenance of hardware wallets, you can use the card wallet. You can give it away as a gift or inheritance. You can send Bitcoin to it, and all you have to do is to store it in a safe place. If you order your card wallet at cardwallet.com/Anita, you will get 20% off. Hello, Desiree. Hello, Ryan. Welcome, and thanks for taking the time to do this interview with me today.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Absolutely happy to be here.
Yeah, thanks. It's a pleasure. Desiree, you're the Vice President of Business Operations, and Ryan, I think you're Head of Business Development at Lightning Labs. Please, let's start with a little introduction. Please introduce yourselves to our listeners, and maybe keep in mind that many listeners of mine are not so deep into Bitcoin, and they might even not know what the Lightning Network is. So please, Desiree, do you want to start?
Yeah, so hello, I'm Desiree. This is super exciting for us because this is Ryan and I's first joint interview, which is super exciting because Ryan and I are working together every day. So we can get into that a little bit more. But yeah, Ryan and I work at Lightning Labs, which is we work on L&D, with an instance of the Lightning Network, which is basically making Bitcoin faster, cheaper, and easier to use. So the way I like to view it is, this is the payment or the transaction layer to Bitcoin's settlement layer. So I know Elizabeth, our CEO, likes to say a lot that the Lightning Network is the HTTPS to Bitcoin's TCP/IP protocol. So she likes to kind of view it that way. But that's kind of the fun way to look at it. And yeah, Ryan, is there anything you want to add about that? I know Ryan loves to talk about protocols and like transport networks and has all sorts of really fun analogies for describing the Lightning Network.
Yeah, absolutely. So as I was telling Anita before the call, I'm an engineer by training, and the specific type of engineering that I did was I got my master's in telecommunications networks. And so when I came to kind of the crypto space broader before I got into Bitcoin and into Lightning, what I was really looking for was like machine-to-machine payments protocol. And so once I kind of realized, what Bitcoin was in 2017, and in particular what Lightning was, it just gave me like a ton of bricks that this is going to mature exactly like the internet did, and even at a deeper level, more kind of infrastructure transportation networks, exactly like pipelines for oil did, exactly like telecommunications lines for analog data did, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so I like to think of, it's absolutely correct that Lightning is kind of the transport layer for Bitcoin, the transaction layer. And what I think of it is it's a network of pipelines for Satoshis that are just kind of flowing throughout the Bitcoin financial system, going wherever they need to go. And before I joined Lightning Labs, I was working at Multicoin Capital, kind of a crypto venture fund. And that was my first kind of exposure to financial markets as an engineer previously. And so I now know that, so value just kind of flows wherever it will. There's not really any rhyme or reason to it from a high level. So like having just this kind of general network set up that will help people transport funds from the US to Nigeria, or from Nigeria to China, or from China to Russia, et cetera, is going to be a boon for the world coming forward.
Mm-hmm. Desiree, how did you get into the Bitcoin space? When did you hear about Bitcoin the first time?
Yeah, my story is a little less glamorous than Ryan's, unfortunately. And Elizabeth loves to give me crap for this, or call me out at conferences and whatnot. I actually got into Bitcoin through Dogecoin, funny enough, but kind of similar to Ryan. My background is not super directly related. Brian's is probably more directly related, but my background is in the sciences. So when I was getting my master's in biophysics and physiology, I was in a very small program. There was not a lot of people in the program. Everyone was a lot older, and I didn't have really very many friends. And so I spent a lot of time on Reddit, which I still do. And I happened to stumble on our Dogecoin. And really what got me interested was the community around Dogecoin. And I was like, hey, these people are nice. It's fun. They're like using this fun virtual currency to like actually sponsor cool things, like helping people out, but also fun things like bobsled teams and college like football bowls and stuff. And so it was just, I just loved kind of like the community meme nature of Dogecoin, and that's kind of what brought me in. And then I was following along, and when I had this former life as a management consultant, so was constantly following along. And when I was doing some work with the federal government, I was obviously becoming very disenchanted with the way that all works. And so I kind of really just kind of jumped into Bitcoin and was like active on Twitter, and met Elizabeth through Twitter and a lot of people that I work with today. So it was kind of through Dogecoin, but I think that's something still that I love about Bitcoin is the community aspect. So yeah, like the Dogecoin community kind of was my entry point, but that's something that's like still very interesting to me today. And like a big part of my job and Ryan's job is working with our community, understanding this community, and building products for this community. So it actually, strangely enough, if you think about it, was kind of interested. I'm still doing I'm working on what got me interested in the first place. So that's kind of my origin story.
So both basically from shitcoins to Bitcoin.
Thanks for
It's a very
calling us
common
out.
route.
But
Yeah, it's a very common route.
it's really very common. Most of the times, I mean, me too. At first you discover Bitcoin, then you think, oh, and what are all those altcoins? And maybe I should go there. But then you realize, no, don't go there. Stay in your lane. Bitcoin has many properties, unique properties like uncensorable, being uncensorable, being permissionless, being open and open access for everybody, distributed, decentralized. What do you think is, in your personal view, the most interesting property of that? Do you have a favorite?
That's a really good
Ryan, you go
question.
first.
Let me think. That's a really good question. I think where I see Bitcoin kind of fitting in the world, right, is like it finds a hold always kind of in the cracks, right, and in like the edges of places where like the fiat rails don't reach. And Anita, like I've loved your recent series on the different use cases in Africa, where it shows kind of like this is people in the West and in the U.S. Don't understand just how bad payment systems and banking systems are in the rest of the world, right? Like we have definitely the best banking system, the best currency, and the best payment rails in the world, like maybe China aside, and they're still really not that good, right? So like imagine how bad they are in the cracks in these other places. So I think the fact that Bitcoin is permissionless, that anybody can spin up a node and start receiving payments, and that it is uncensorable, that nobody can stop you from doing that, means that it's really like it's finding a hold as a money, as like the store value, medium of exchange, and a unit of account in these places in the world where these people like they have no alternative. Because one thing that we noticed in the crypto space this year is like the stablecoin volume or the crypto dollar volume has just exploded, right? Like Tether's up to like $20 billion or something now, right? Because really what the world wants more than Bitcoin right now is they want dollars, right? All over the place. What they really want is dollars. But in a lot of places, you just can't get dollars, right? You just can't get them in these parts of the world. And for that, like there's Bitcoin. And I think we will just see more and more. We will begin to understand more and more the importance of the fact that that anybody anywhere can access it and use it, and nobody can stop them over the next 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that is definitely something similar. I mean, just I love that aspect about Bitcoin, and Anita, you do such like an amazing job of kind of covering those use cases. And I saw someone tweeting the other day, I don't remember who it was, just about Bitcoin is actually offering up this ability for like domestic violence survivors or people who are in domestic violence situations. And I had never even thought about that because, these women or men or whoever are unable to make moves or like get out of their situation because someone else is controlling their financial situation. And like there's been these use cases and these scenarios that have been popping up that have really empowered these victims of domestic violence. And I was like, that's one situation I never thought of. And so I think it's just incredible that every single day there's just a new like use case in which Bitcoin is empowering people that wouldn't have these opportunities otherwise. And then, I mean, on top of that, the privacy piece is just, the non-censorship piece. Like those things are really big for me. I mean, I don't know, like, we're all kind of holiday shopping right now, and just like the targeted ads that I get are just starting to become so frightening. And like I recently like deleted Instagram and most of my social apps because like I could, I've read that surveillance capitalism book, and I mean I can actually feel these algorithms pushing my behaviors. Like I've read about it happening, like pushing ads like based on your behaviors and then actually forcing consumer behavior. And I mean it's not just me reading and being crazy about it. Like I can actually feel it happening to me. Like I am purchasing things that I wouldn't have normally even thought to purchase, but like now I need them. And so I feel like I'm totally being manipulated by like these uber capitalistic algorithms. And so I'm like, oh my God, like if I could just buy every single thing on Bitcoin, which, you know, I think we're getting closer to being there. I think, you know, it's just going to like kind of also free us from this like really vicious cycle of, you know, buying and being controlled by these large corporations. So that's one of my other little pet interests as well.
Yeah, great. That's also a big point for me, like getting from this push marketing where you always get pushed like with messages that you have never asked to get to pull marketing, or maybe like with what we have with podcasting 2.0 now, a income stream for content creators without the need to have sponsors and ads, which is a great use case. Let's go a little bit back. You mentioned before the Lightning Network Daemon. I think that's the first product of Lightning Labs. Can you maybe explain to people who are new in the space what that is?
Sure. So first off, hopefully your users are familiar with the Bitcoin daemon, right? Which is the Bitcoin node itself, which receives blocks from miners, verifies the transactions, verifies its proof of work, and allows you to be, you know, sovereign and to check that without trusting any third party, that when you receive your coins to your address, they are in the blockchain, that the state has been recorded and that they're actually yours, and that your private key controls these coins, right? And so what LND is, the Lightning Network daemon, is it's just a plugin on top of the Bitcoin daemon, another software program that speaks Lightning, and can now reach into this layer 2 network that sits on top of the Bitcoin network, that is a bunch of nodes that are managing channels and managing liquidity in the Lightning network for all of these off-chain transactions, which, like Desiree said, will then, when a channel gets closed, settle back to the on-chain, to the Bitcoin network. And so the advantage of going off-chain, of course, is that sending on-chain, the Bitcoin network only processes 1 megabyte every 10 minutes, one block, give or take a little bit, every 10 minutes, which is like a terrible throughput. If you think about, your internet speed at home, 1 megabyte every 10 minutes is horrendous. Most people are dealing with hundreds of megabytes per second. So it's very slow, and there's very good reasons for that, because that keeps the network decentralized, it keeps it permissionless, et cetera, et cetera. And so Lightning steps in to fill that gap, where if you're sending off-chain, your sends are instant, your sends are nearly free, and you can settle back to the chain whenever you want. So it uses the same security as the Bitcoin network. And so the Lightning Network daemon has, we have, like I was saying before we started the call, something like 50 or 60 companies that are actively using LND as a part of their business today. And then like another 60 or so that we're tracking that are like Bitcoin companies that we hope to get to start using Lightning, and to the term that the buzzword I've been using recently is getting companies to layer up to Lightning from Bitcoin. And so, yeah, it's we have a fantastic community around it, a really, really active and vibrant GitHub that is, this is an open source project so it's people that are making pull requests and trying to improve the daemon for their use case and stuff like that. So it's been really cool getting in and watching all this stuff happen, and watching this ecosystem grow around this, new network that is still, it's only been, I think the first mainnet transaction was like either really, really late 2017 or early 2018. So it's only really been, 3 years. And it's grown really, really quickly. And I think it will continue to grow over the next 5 or so.
Yeah, I think our
Do you have?
developer. Oh, sorry. I think our developer Slack has like over 5,000 active participants, which is absolutely crazy. And I don't know, I mean, Anita, you were at the Lightning conference last year, and which was amazing, and we hope to do again someday. But it's just incredible to see the growth in these companies building on L&D over the past year. I mean, there was a lot of progress that we saw at the Lightning conference, but there was still a lot of building and tinkering and just general experimenting. But now if you kind of look at the community that's building, it's like VC backed companies. You have Fold, you have Strike, and these are these companies are growing and have serious user bases. So I mean, not only is this community growing, but it's very much so, like very much professionalizing itself as well. So I mean, and this happened during quarantine, like a quarantine year. So I'm super excited to see what happens for 2021.
Yeah, maybe in this quarantine year, many people had time to build.
True,
we were not
true.
on conferences and not traveling. We had time to build. And you just mentioned Fold and Strike, which are apps or solutions where you can also get cashback when you use them, when you buy stuff with it. Is it correct?
Yep.
And,
Yes.
and they also build on L&D.
Yes. And Bitrefill as well. Bitrefill offers cashback and is also running on L&D as well. Yep.
Mm-hmm. And as far as I know, Bitrefill is already operating globally, but I think Fold and Strike is only in the US. Is that right?
Yeah, I think Strike.
So. Yeah.
Strike, I believe, said 2021 global. They're going global.
Like,
so
Jack tweets little hints about his master plans every once in a while. I think it's been imminent for a while. So we're excited about that. And another one, Bottle Pay, which is a Strike-like solution, just launched last week in the UK, and is hoping to expand to the EU and broader soon.
Yes, I hope so too. They had to shut down, I think, a year ago because of KYC or other regulations. Yeah, great that they are back. Do you have any numbers maybe on how the Lightning Network developed this year? I mean, like Bitcoin that are allocated on the Lightning Network or the number of channels?
Yeah, so it's tough, right? Because the metric that really matters for Lightning is the volume flowing through the network, is like the number of transactions that are being routed and things like that. Because we've been kind of static at about 1,000 Bitcoin for the last year and a half or so, but like those 1,000 Bitcoin could be turning over 5 times a day and producing tens of thousands of Bitcoins of transaction volume. Now, like I don't think that that's happening, right? Because it's still pretty nascent. But the number that matters is volume. And so that is at odds with our design goals for the network, which is to make sure that volume is private, right? So hopefully we've been talking, this has been like something that's been an issue, I think, enough for a while that we're going to start working with the community to try and start figuring out some privacy preserving ways to publish volume numbers to show how the network is growing, because like we have our own measurement, but it's only in like one node or a couple nodes on the network, right? There are others like the Folds and the Strikes and the Bitrefills, et cetera, that have their own metrics. And like, Alex Bosworth every once in a while tweets his numbers from his nodes at yalls.org, which are significant, right? But we need a better way of displaying that data, because that's the number that really matters.
Yeah, I mean, even publicly, like in the beginning of the year, I think, we were only around like 885 BTC, and now it's like well over 1,100 BTC. So, I mean, yeah, I do think that like more people are going the private route, but like we're still seeing like reasonable growth. But I think the most notable advancement is just like some of the stuff that we've put out this year, like Wumbo, so like lifting channel limits. Like I think that the quality of the network has like really, really strengthened, which I think is super important before we like massively increase the volume and reach mass adoption. Like actually making sure that like this thing is like quality is super is super important. So yeah, we have like a lot of stuff that we've put out this year that's helped with that.
Yeah, I can confirm that many of the notes are private because mine is also behind Tor, so nobody can see it actually. So, and that's also the reason why you can't count it. Yeah.
Yep.
Can you tell us a little bit about the most interesting products you were working on this year?
Oh yeah,
Man, I
Ryan, jump
mean,
into that. I actually have a list I just pulled up, and it's like I have to add to it because I'm literally telling you this is like for for the amount of people we have on this team, it is incredible how many products that we push out. So yeah,
it
Ryan,
is.
sorry if you want to jump into some of the more recent ones.
Yeah, I think like probably the one that will touch the most people in the shortest amount of time, honestly, I think is Autoloop, where like our loop product is just it's a submarine swap, so it allows you to uh, move your layer two coins to layer one or vice versa. So if you are receiving coins on layer two, right, you have a channel with a certain amount of coins you can receive until that channel is depleted. And so what loop out does is loop out lets you push those coins out on layer two, and our service will return them to you on layer one, right? And so that's kind of, and loop in is the reverse. You send coins on layer one and receive on layer two. So that's like, it's a very useful service. It's something that like for the merchant case, for the podcast case, for anybody who is like passively receiving coins over Lightning, which is kind of where we think this is going to really start mattering, right? And where it's going to start taking off is just people just receiving coins over the internet, you know, without having to really take part in a transaction. Is at some point your coins are going to get, your channels are going to get depleted, right? You will have no more receive capability on layer two. And so what Autoloop does is Autoloop will just be running in the background, checking your receive capability, and you know it's fully trustless. So you set the parameters yourself on when you want to, you know, engage in kind of that the rebalance. But at some point, once you need to, it will just kind of work in the background. And the goal will be for like our goal is to make it to where this layer two experience has these channels and is a little bit different for normal users to not even know the channels exist at all, right? For them, for it to just work exactly like layer one, for you to just continue to be able to receive payments from people all over the world without permission, and for it to just work. And so like this was a really important step in that direction. Now, one funny thing that the team um, has told me is, you know, like there's with the app, there was autopilot, which was like a step in automation. But one funny thing about these cryptocurrency protocols is like you're dealing with people's money. So sometimes they say they want everything automated, but then when their node starts doing something they're not expecting, right, they get a little nervous because, you know, hey, wait a second, like why is it taking this action with my money? I didn't okay this. So like we're trying to do this methodically and like kind of bring the market with us and make sure people understand what's happening rather than going full blown automation, which is what I think everybody wants. Yeah, I think that was a really important step in the right direction, and hopefully it will continue moving that way.
Yeah, and to even step back a little bit further with auto loop or just loop in general, I mean, for folks who maybe don't understand this problem, that the problem that this is fixing. I don't know if Anita, you remember, or if you know your listeners remember the lightning torch that happened when I don't even remember what it was, but you know it was the passing of like these 1,000 sats that increased by 1,000 sats every time. It ended up going through to Jack, which was pretty incredible, and you know just gave a lot of visibility to what we were building. But one of the problems that people ran into was inbound liquidity. And so that is the problem that Loop really helps solve. And like that's something that, as you see, like merchants and you know regular people are constantly struggling with, like Ryan said. So really, the goal here is to just like help you set and forget. Like let these merchants and you know let these individuals really focus on their business rather than managing channels and managing liquidity. Like that's really the goal here, is to just make Lightning easier for these folks to use.
Mhm. So maybe to explain it to the people who don't have the experience, is basically like as if you have a wallet that a real wallet that has space for, I say, $100. But when you want to receive $200, the wallet is too small and it's rejected. And Autoloop would solve that problem, and you don't have to, take care of the size of your wallet in any way, anyhow, anymore.
Yep.
Which is,
Another like nice comparison I think the team has used before is like a cash register, right? So if you're running a corner store or something, you can receive so much cash during the day, but you don't want to keep tens of thousands of dollars in your cash register, right? You want to periodically take that cash to the bank. And the nice thing about Bitcoin is you get to be your own bank and can run your own coins on chain, and so you can just dump that cash register amount into your cold storage and keep it there forever and ever and pass it on to your descendants.
Mhm. And another project or product you just launched, I think, is Lightning Pool.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something for people who are running their own nodes. Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah. So Lightning Pool is also incredibly exciting. It's a little more financy, so I'll try and tame down the jargon. But basically, the important thing about channels is when I choose to put my Bitcoin in a channel with you, Anita, I could be doing anything else in the world with that Bitcoin, right? I could be keeping it in cold storage, keeping it safe. I could be lending it to BlockFi and getting 6% interest. I could be trading with it on any of these exchanges. I could even be putting it into a channel with any other node. But I'm choosing your node out of all of the different choices, right? So that means that I am taking what's in the financy term is opportunity cost of capital risk, right? I'm foregoing all these other opportunities and choosing to put in a channel with you. So that means that there's value to me choosing to put my coins in your direction. And so what Lightning Pool is Lightning Pool provides a market for that option where it can say, if you want inbound liquidity, if you want somebody to open a channel to you, you can just put up an order and say, just like any other exchange, and say, I'm willing to pay 3% per year for a channel to be open to my direction. And then somebody can say, yep, that sounds good. I'll take 3% interest on my Bitcoin in order to provide you liquidity, and they'll open a channel. And so having this, there have been a number of these kind of over-the-counter services like that refills Tor channels. LM Big has done this. Y'all's has done this. Lightning to Me. There's a couple of these other services that have popped up doing this on kind of like a bespoke manner, on a one-off manner. And so I think it's really important to have kind of a marketplace for that then sets the price and allows good price discovery for what that costs to open a channel in somebody's certain direction.
Yeah,
So
I mean, it really, like, sorry to interject, Ryan, but yeah, it really kind of stemmed out of this community need for like this liquidity. Ryan's like super active on a lot of like Telegram channels, and there's all these people who are popping up. It's like, hey, can anybody open inbound my way? And people are really needing this. I mean, ourselves included. And so we just really saw that need in the community and built that for this. So I mean, the kind of cherry on top is this new this new asset, this new tradable asset that you can actually earn yield on. So it's really serving a need and opening up a new opportunity as well.
Yeah, because
but just to be quick, we're not yet at the stage where anybody can run a node and earn interest just by pressing a button, right? We're moving in that direction, just like we're moving in the automation direction. Right now, still, like, to earn interest, you have to run like a good Lightning node, right? Like, the bit refuels and the folds and the open nodes and such. They have like desirable locations and good liquidity, et cetera, et cetera. So like they can command a premium. But your average user with a Raspberry Pi and one channel like probably is not going to be able to earn interest. So we want to like kind of level set with expectations. That's all.
I have 5 channels. Is it not working?
Well, then you may be doing all right then. Yeah, you may be over the threshold.
But I understand the problem because, I mean, the 5 channels, I think 2 of those are with friends of mine. I know them personally. And we said, okay, come on, let's open a channel. And the other 3 are, I think, Async and LM Big. And yeah, I also wouldn't know. I mean, I would have to go on Twitter and ask somebody, do you want to open a channel with me? And I guess a Lightning Pool is solving that problem.
Yep. And it solves it. And like this is, using just like the power of markets. Markets are just very scalable ways to solve these coordination problems. And so it makes sense to have just kind of a one-stop shop. You press a button, you pay what the market can guarantee is a fair price, and you have your problem solved rather than having to know somebody and having to like ask on Twitter or Telegram. Like this way, it's fair for everybody, where anybody can use the same solution.
Okay, so Lightning Loop is basically in the very, very early stages, I guess. What I hear from you.
Pool.
Yeah. Sorry, Pool.
Yes.
Because a friend of mine was asking if you already have a dashboard or something where he could see like order books or statistics on it. I mean, I found one Twitter bot, but we didn't find anything else.
It's in the works.
Shout out to at Lightning Pool. That is a great Twitter handle or a Twitter bot to follow. Shout out to them. It's popped out of the community. But yeah, we're very early. It's coming. We're working on kind of the accessibility piece. So yeah, definitely be on the lookout for some exciting products around that.
Okay, what do you think in general? Where are we with the Lightning Network? I was talking with Andreas Antonopoulos in my last episode, and he said he's estimating that the Lightning Network is there where we were with Bitcoin in 2012, 2013. Does this sound reasonable?
I was not around in 2012 or 2013, so I can't say. Not sure. I think we're really close to a tipping point where a bunch of this is a basketball metaphor, so I don't know how many of your listeners are basketball fans, but there are a bunch of these companies who have been just hanging around the rim, right? Like they've been paying attention to Lightning. They've been kind of waiting for a sign and like a reason to jump on board. They know it's like in their roadmap. They know it's important and like it's the future of scaling Bitcoin, but they just haven't integrated yet because they had kind of other priorities, right? But they're all right there. It's very close, and they know that it's important for them. I'm maybe overly optimistic, but pretty optimistic that this next year, with fees going up, and with the Lightning Network, with LND being ready, and being stable and being trusted by a bunch of companies in production, that we'll get a bunch of those companies to convert, and to like onboard Lightning and to see, there's this kind of unfortunate narrative it was pushed first by a bunch of Bitcoin cashers in 2017 and has now since kind of dispelled, but the Lightning is like complicated and is not really ready yet. But for those of us who use it on a daily basis, like it's really not. It works great all the time. Like I send payments probably like every day, and pretty much all of them succeed, and it always just kind of works. And so I think, and like the node is really stable. It doesn't ever fail over. I think we're going to see, some really good enterprise adoption in the next year or so, which will help change the narrative and help get a bunch more people interested. So I don't know where in the last 10 years that puts Lightning in Bitcoin terms, because I was only got started in 2017, but I'm optimistic.
Yeah, I agree that we're early, but I think it's like hard to frame it against Bitcoin's timeline because Lightning is Bitcoin. I think sometimes people forget about that, and something that Ryan has said, and I think he's talked to Pierre Rochard a lot about this, and this has come out of their conversations, is that Lightning is the UX for Bitcoin. And Ryan, when you said that, really resonated with me. And Anita, I think I was mentioning this to you in Twitter DMs. I am very involved with like the Lightning gaming community or Bitcoin gaming community, and just to see, I mean, the incredible growth in users around people who are playing these games. And it's not like a bunch of Bitcoiners are coming and playing these games. It's actually a bunch of people who've never ever owned Bitcoin or don't really know much about Bitcoin at all are coming to these games because they're like, oh, hey, I can have fun and I can earn this asset that everybody's talking about. And so we're actually onboarding a ton of new users to Bitcoin directly through these Lightning games. So they're not even really aware of what's going on. It's all just one big thing to them. So, I think it's difficult to like compare them as like kind of progressing in the same lane, but I do agree that we're early, but I mean the growth is incredible. I mean, just in at the last Mint Gox tournament, like esports tournament that we hosted, there was I think we're almost up to 15,000 transactions just during 2 hours. And that's just playing games, which is kind of incredible. And those are all like successful transactions. And I monitored the Discord and there's not people who are complaining about their transactions not going through. So it's, making Bitcoin more usable. And like, just like Ryan, I'm using Lightning for everything. All my Christmas gifts, I've done through Fold, and I'm like sending Poyo feed like sats and, playing around here and there. The Zebedee wallet, like sending people like tipping, like video game streamers on Twitch. Like I'm sending sats to tip people, using their static QR codes. Like there's like, it's actually being used rather than me just like buying Bitcoin and holding. Like I'm actually using it today. So I think yes, it's early, but like it's also going to at the same time push Bitcoin forward.
Yeah, great. And I think, Lightning is Bitcoin, and I think in a few years maybe we won't talk about it anymore.
Yep.
Yeah,
like one thing that Pierre said. One thing that Pierre said that I really liked is, one way to think about Bitcoin with Lightning is like Bitcoin 2.0, right? If we had the Ethereum marketing machine, right, we could be saying that actually like Bitcoin 2.0 beat ETH 2.0 to market and is like already way bigger, right? Because I think like I said earlier, right, the goal is like every Bitcoin wallet should be a Lightning wallet. Every Bitcoin company should be a Lightning company. Lightning is just a massive improvement over on-chain Bitcoin in every way, while still inheriting the same thing, right? You having a Lightning balance and a Bitcoin balance, I think, will be viewed in the future as like having a checking account and a savings account, right? It's just that your money that's in your Lightning balance is much easier and more accessible to be sent and paid for stuff. But it's, to take your savings account and plug it into your checking account is like, that's what Loop is for, right? And it's very cheap, it's very quick, it works really well, and you don't have to ask permission or wait for the bank to be open. And the same thing vice versa, right? Is you take your checking account, and if you want to dump some into your savings, well, that's really easy. And then you have your cold storage, which is like the cash under your bedroom or under your mattress or something like that.
Yeah, that's your hardware wallet that's under your bed.
Exactly. Hopefully not a ledger.
Hopefully not a ledger, but LND is also running on Raspberry Blitz, and it enables also podcasting 2.0 now, because with the Sphinx app, which actually a chat app, which is also running on LND. And I have my tribe on Sphinx since I think 6 weeks or something. And it's really astonishing to me, because I made a calculation today, and I think only in December, if I don't did it wrong, then I earned 500,000 Satoshis. Yeah, exactly. I'm also like, what? Can this be true? I have 16 tribe members. Maybe I did it wrong because there is no message with the invoice, so I can't really find out every invoice if every single one of them came from the Sphinx app. And if it's only half of it, which really is possible, then it's $50, and that's great. That's amazing. Think of that,
this is like the thing that I think is really interesting, like the streaming payments thing. I'm an obsessive Sphinx user. I'm in your tribe. I've contributed probably like a significant amount of that.
Well done.
But it's so cool, because like this is this is like, it shows you what the future, it gives you a glimpse at the future of like what streaming payments are, because the really cool thing on this Sphinx app is I just set, that I'm willing to pay Anita 50 sats per minute for the pleasure of listening to the interview that she recorded, right? And then it just works. It just happens in the background, and I don't even think about it, right? And with how good I use Strike for my fiat to Lightning conversion. With as good as that, like, it just ends up being like I'm not spending my Bitcoin, right? I'm converting part of my US dollar budget into these sats in this app once a month, and then just spending that down listening to podcasts.
And this is all automatically. So you set up Strike once, and then you don't have to do anything anymore.
Exactly, and then it just
Wow.
works.
Okay,
It's
that's
amazing.
cool.
Well, so I think they're working on making it to where like it's a recurring thing from Strike into Sphinx. I don't think that's quite built yet. But yeah, I just have to go in once a month. I load up kind of my balance, where you can think of like I think of my Sphinx balance as like a prepaid debit card or something like that. And it just streams, to my podcasters, who I've always wanted to support, right? And I'm happy to support you with Bitcoin. That's like the best way I think I could support. And now I have a really easy, frictionless way to do so, while also being able to like chat with you about your episode, which I think is amazing, right? That's great.
Exactly. And I mean, it's a little bit like a Netflix or Amazon Prime subscription, but you define how much you want to pay. And that, I think, is very great. And on the other hand, once maybe when there are more people using it, I can be free from sponsors and I don't need to push out ads anymore. But I'm paid by my community, like the value for value model, like the guys call it, Adam Curry and Dave from Podcasting 2.0. And I think that's great because it frees every one of us, like you as a listener and me as a content producer. And it's a great development. And I counted today, there are already about 130 tribes in Sphinx, and 40 of them are Bitcoin podcasts.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow, I hadn't realized that it had gotten that big. That's crazy.
Yeah, I think every day there are new tribes. Yeah, great. So, what are your plans? I mean, Lightning Labs plans for 2021?
Oh man.
World domination, of course.
Yeah. Yeah, I think one, is obviously focusing on, making Lightning easier to use and really focusing on building for our customers. And so, that's been such a great part of like having Ryan on board. We're really thinking about, who is using our tools and like how we can improve them and make it more possible, make it easier for people to run their businesses on Lightning and build on Lightning and really explore these new use cases that like I genuinely believe are going to change the world. So, just really in line with like that type of vision, we're going to keep building those type of tools and also make our tools easier to use. So like pulling together UI so people can really interact and understand what's going on there. That's, kind of the long-term focus for the year. Ryan, did you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, no, I think that said it very well. Protocol wise, there's a couple exciting things that I think are going to be coming up. I never like putting the engineers on timelines, but like maybe this will happen this year, right? They'll get to it when they're ready. But one is Atomic Multipath Payments AMP, which is a really exciting upgrade that has been planned for a while, and so that will give Anita the Zebedee wallet. I think right now has the static QR code for their specific wallet that works, and so this would be making that more of like a protocol layer thing, where Anita, you could just have a QR code up on your website that would allow people to just scan it and send you payments without you needing to create an invoice every time, which gives you like the Bitcoin. Again, like the goal here is to make Lightning the same user experience as Bitcoin, just faster and cheaper. And the benefit of that would be it also happens to maintain your privacy. So you could just have this nice little donation widget up that would just stay there. I think making our liquidity products easier to use. I think also like a big focus, like I said, will be helping to kind of new Bitcoin customers like Kraken, who's getting on board Lightning, like helping some of those enterprises layer up. I think will be a big focus because I mean there's with fees going up, like they're already kind of sustainably with a median fee at something like $4 to $5, right? Like that's only going to go up as the price goes up and as next year continues going crazy. Like if you're running a Bitcoin business, like call me because we'll help you get onto Lightning and help kind of hold your hand as you get your users used to it.
Mm-hmm. And how do you think is this going to look like? I mean, my idea of Kraken, like for instance, Kraken integrating Lightning is that they use it in the background or that people can go on Kraken and buy micro amounts of like Satoshis.
Yeah, like we'll see how it'll be really interesting. I think what Pierre has said publicly so far is that they're planning on starting with it being API only. So it'll be actually like for small traders who want to instantly deposit Bitcoin and withdraw Bitcoin from the exchange for trading purposes. Which, if you've used Ellen Markets, which is the Lightning native exchange, like they have a similar user experience where they don't custody like all your assets. They only custody your assets that are in positions at the time, which is like a really new, interesting kind of custody model. And so I think they'll do that. I think they'll also let users just withdraw over Lightning instead of withdrawing directly on chain. Because I think Kraken famously has like a flat $10 withdrawal fee or something like that all the time, which is like used to make them a good amount of money and now it no longer does. And so providing like an alternate route for their users to withdraw while raising their on-chain fees, I think is part of their plan as well.
Yeah, it will be great to watch what's happening next year. Desiree, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's all going to happen. I mean, we said Wumbo 2020, Wumbo ship this year. I know we don't like to put timelines around things, but I mean, I think next year will be an incredible year, not only, for Lightning Labs, but for the community in general. This year we saw like podcasting 2.0 pop up, like gaming has become like a real like use case, and the stats back thing, people are going crazy over it. So, like, I can't wait to see what happens next year. Obviously, this price pump is helping bring people bring awareness, which can be good, can also kind of be distracting as well. But I think we'll keep our heads down, we'll keep building and just making this thing usable, so when people do come, we can really start aiming for mass adoption. And that's like, I think that's kind of Ryan and I's like personal like little business goal is to really kind of drive that in any way possible.
Great. Yeah. Now I have an internal question. You don't have to answer if you don't want to, but one of your first investors is famously Jack Dorsey, the CEO of Twitter. And now we heard a lot about MicroStrategy putting a lot of money in Bitcoin in the company. Does Lightning Labs actually hold Bitcoin?
Does Lightning Labs actually hold Bitcoin?
As a company asset, I mean.
Oh yeah, I don't know what's our public stance on that.
Okay.
Maybe we keep it spicy and let people guess. I mean, yes,
Put up a poll.
People guess. Yeah, then we'll put up a poll. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was just curious. I tried to ask the question. Maybe you would answer. I completely understand. Okay, great. Anything that you want to add that we didn't touch on?
Oh man, no. I mean, I think just keep, following along, like join us. Like Ryan said, if you're interested in, trying out our products or, building on L&D, reach out. The team is always here to help. Thinking about customers and thinking about users is at the forefront of everything we do. So, if people are interested in experimenting and don't know where to start, Ryan and I both have open DMs. Anything inappropriate, please send to Ryan's DMs and not mine. Someday we'll have we can just migrate to Sphinx, so at least you'll have to pay sats to send those. But yeah, definitely
That's
hit us
true.
up on Twitter. We're more than happy to help and guide people in the right direction, and make sure people have what they need to build. So yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. And where can people find Lightning Labs and your accounts?
So it's lightning.engineering is our website. There's a lot of great stuff on there. At Lightning on Twitter, super simple. So you can also shoot DMs there. I am at Dickerson_Des, and Ryan, your Twitter handle.
I'm at Ryan V Gentry, and yeah, I think, Anita, from what I've heard from your show, a bunch of your users, or a bunch of the people you've talked to, kind of their first exposure was BTC Pay Server, or they use BTC Pay Server for receiving payments. Like BTC Pay Server has Lightning integrated; they use L&D out of the box, and we're kind of working with them to push, some of our more advanced features through BTC Pay Server, as like just easy to use settings that they don't have to expose any of the underlying stuff. So I'm hopeful that even if you don't come directly to us, there is Raspberry Blitz, there's BTC Pay Server, there's Umbrel, there's MyNode, there's there's a host of other solutions that are just out of the box, maybe more user friendly, but running L&D all the same, that'll get you on the Lightning Network. So there's tons of options, and yeah, we're excited about 2021. We think it's going to be a really good year.
Yeah, I think so too. I think maybe next year we cannot count all those solutions anymore.
I'm looking. Yeah, I'll have to take off my shoes to keep counting them.
Okay, thank you very much, and have a nice day.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having us, Anita.
Bye-bye. Thanks so much for joining today to learn more about Bitcoin. You can find the show notes for this conversation on anita.link/show. If you want to get the best stories in Bitcoin from my point of view automatically in your mailbox, go to anita.link/weekly and subscribe to my newsletter. If you have a question or want to send some feedback, drop me a mail at hello@anitaposch.com. See you next week when it's time for my show. Thanks for listening. Music, start with yes, delicate beats. Content, idea and production, yours truly, Anita Posch.